Welcome to the big kick-off League of Ireland Sports Bar. Myself, Roy Shanahan, and Nathan Doyle. Some good games tonight. Obviously, Shamrock Rovers and Bohs is just after finished, and I think we'll come back to that one, and we'll start with some of the other ones, Nathan. Let's start off with the Finn Harps and St. Pat's game that was on earlier on. Finn Harps nil, St. Pat's 2. What was your thoughts on the game?
Yeah, obviously, happy camper once again. I'm starting to enjoy me Friday nights, I have to say. I think it was probably similar in vein to the Pats win over Waterford. You know, it was probably wasn't the most glamorous performance you'll ever see, but I think again it goes back to the fitness of Pats, the shape again. It's all things we've said have been absolutely spot on. I think we've seen a little bit more of a killer instinct this time around. You know, we thought in the Waterford game was probably a bit more nervy than it should have been. Where at least here he went down and got a second goal and it sort of put it to bed a little bit. In fairness to Finn Harps, I thought in the first half they were probably the better side of the two, without really testing Yarvers and goal for Pats. I thought they'd done a lot of good pressing, and yeah, Pats were pretty non-existent, I think, for the first half an hour, and then thankfully Billy Keane popped up around the half an hour mark and slotted away a lovely goal. And yeah, I think from there it was a little bit comfortable. You know, I was happy enough watching Pats going in 1-0 at the break, and then they came out. There seemed to be a bit more urgency about them, a little bit more dangerous on the counter-attack. Again, Matty Smith, for me, was one of the standout players. I thought brought plenty of energy, and he was the man that popped up with the second goal to kill the game off, to get his first goal for Pats. So, yeah, happy out.
Billy King's goal just came out of nowhere, didn't it? Like, it was the game, as you said, it was to and fro. I suppose the build-up play for Finn Harps was a bit more direct, where Pats were building up, but they both got to a certain stage where nothing was really happening. There was no real target efforts on goal, and then he just pulled that out of nowhere. Great move as well. Great touches, wasn't it?
Yeah, and again, you can't enjoy it with the lack of replays. You sort of have to go hunting the video down on Twitter or something. But when you do, you'd notice the movement of his feet to get around the defenders. It's something you probably won't pick up on. I certainly didn't pick up on it in the moment, but going back to look at it, yeah, lovely strike and everything, but the movement of the feet was really good. I'm happy for Billy, I have to say. I got a bit of stick off some of the lads. I really did champion him last season, but he sort of struggled with injuries, and then obviously with only 18 games, lobbing that in with the injuries, it's going to be difficult to really prove yourself. But in fairness to him, he's hit the ground running this season, you know, and while I did think Pats would have struggled without, like a lot of teams, without a main goal scorer, I'm happy to see, you know, people are chipping in. We have Coughlin, Matty Smith, Darragh Burns, and obviously Billy Keane popping in with goals. So that can sort of take the load off. It can definitely take a bit of pressure off, you know. But yeah, in fairness to Billy, lovely effort it really was, and I was happy for him, you know, because he's a dangerous player. You know, he really is out on the left-hand side. He seems very comfortable cutting in on his right foot. So yeah, really, I'm happy for them, and just happy with the start of the season again. Really, there can't be much complaints. All you ask from your team is to improve, and I think if you look at the Pats season last season to the Pats season now, there's obvious improvements.
Yeah, the goals are being chipped in by everyone, really. They don't have a real out-and-out striker, if you want to call it, like someone that you think this fella's dangerous up front. But then we did say that about the whole league, that the whole league, bar maybe Hubin, is the only probably natural goal scorer that you can kind of think he'll pick up something in the box somewhere. But so it's good to see that St. Pat's are actually sharing out the goals.
It is, yeah, and that's something I even said to you, even probably just when we're just having a chat, because believe it or not, we actually get on off camera, guys, we do. So I said it to you, that was one of me probably, not complaints, but one of me, you know, a little bit nervy that, you know, I wonder where the goals are going to come from, because I didn't think Coughlin was the man. I seen him enough of my Sligo to know that he's very busy. He's a great workhorse, and in fairness, you cannot, there's a skill in that in itself, you know, but to be relying on Ronan Coughlin as your main goal scorer, it's probably just not going to happen realistically. Same with Matty Smith, you know, Matty is still a bit of an unknown quantity within the league, impressed me at Waterford last season, but again, didn't score a half full of goals. So to see people sharing the load, I think it's what you need, you know, and I think it's probably going to be something that Pats rely on going forward. Again, young lad Darragh Burns looks a good prospect, without putting too much pressure on the lad, but 19 years of age, you know, it's going to be difficult to be expecting him to come in and be the main source. But yeah, I think if we can share the load the way we have been, and even Robbie Benson and Chris Forrester as well, you know, Lee Desmond, Paddy Barrett, these guys will be all dangerous from set players. So I'll be happy enough if it just keeps ticking along like that. It'd be it'd probably get rid of me fears of the lack of a goal scorer at Richmond Park this season.
Yeah. Now, when you look at Finn Harps, I've looked at the Finn Harps on a couple of occasions. I thought today they were over-reliant on their long throws, over-reliant on their set pieces, although that is probably generally what their game is about. I think there's a few decent footballers in there, and if it's not coming from a set piece, I'm not sure where their goals are going to come from. Adam Foley will pounce on mistakes. That's absolutely a given, but they just seem to be reliant a lot on these set pieces.
Yeah, big time. And again, like I said, the first half an hour, they were pretty good. And especially, in fairness to them, in the last 15 minutes, they really put the pressure on St. Pat's. But like I said, it was all corners, it was all throw-ins. And on the night, thankfully, Pats were really comfortable dealing with that. There was no... I don't remember Yarwas having to make a save, really, within the game. There was a couple of long-distance chances. I think like Will Seymour had a pop from about 40 yards out. While it would have been lovely if it hit the back of the net, it didn't, So while there was definitely moments, and there's definitely, well, Finn Harps, look, they will be disappointed with this result. While they've got off to a good start to the season, you might argue the bubble is popping a little bit. They've coming off the back of a defeat and a draw, and now defeat in this game. They will be disappointed. Ballybuffet, whether it's a cliche or whether it's actually factually correct, we always say it's a difficult place to go. So to give away 2 goals at home, they would be really disappointed. And the fact that, it wasn't completely backs against the walls. They had moments of pressure. They had long spells of pressure even, in fact. So, yeah, they were disappointed with that. And I think it's a sort of they're in a strange bit of a flux, I think, this season. I think when you think of Finn Harps, I know I do myself. When I think of Finn Harps, I think of, physical, big, strong. Well, like you said, this season, while they are, you could actually even see it, like they were a tall side, their physical side. But they also have players. They also have players that are comfortable with the ball at their feet, like the likes of Barry McNamee, Carlos Sullivan, Adam Foley, as you mentioned. So while they're not probably a rough and ready Finn Harps side that we probably remember from the past, there is lads in that team that can play football. And I just think they're sort of neglecting them a little bit, with relying on long throw-ins and corner kicks, where these guys can play football. But if you're just lumping the ball into them, you're taking them out of the game, really, and you're sort of, hampering yourself a little bit.
Yeah, but they didn't seem to create anything tonight at all. And if they're not creating, they didn't score in the last 2 or 3 games. 2 games anyhow for definite. Yeah, it's a little bit of a worry, but it's good that they got the early start in the season so far, to prop them up. So hopefully Ollie can sort something else out there. Okay, the big game tonight was Shamrock Rovers against Bohs, and it didn't disappoint, really, did it? The game flowed, it ebbed and flowed from one end to the other. It was very open. There was chances galore, there was misses galore, and there was a few goals as well.
Great game. Yeah, really good. I thought this fixture last season behind closed doors was abysmal. It was probably the game that I'm not even a fan of either side, I actively don't like them. So it's
no shit.
Yeah, no, seriously, yeah, no. I don't say that often, but I'm a Pats fan for people that don't know. But yeah, I thought that was one of the fixtures that really missed fans last season. And you could tell on the pitch the tempo wasn't there. It just didn't feel like a Dublin derby. With this game, I really enjoyed this game. I thought the first half especially, it was just guns blazing, wasn't it? Both sides were going for it. While the managers might not be too happy with the first half performances, we really enjoyed it because the fact that they were willing to push people forward so much, there was plenty of gaps at the back for teams to get chances. I thought Shamrock Rovers were especially good in the first half. I thought Graham Burke was one of the standout players for me. He sent Andy Lyons out, the right back Andy Lyons, on an absolute adventure, didn't he? Like he just any time he won that battle. I think it's safe to say in the first half he really, really did. But yeah, Bohs missed a massive chance. Dundalk, Shamrock Rovers missed a massive chance in the first half. So yeah, really, really enjoyable game. I think maybe Bohs might be a bit disappointed overall. With the 2 chances they missed the one in the first half with Bort, and then one in the second half with Gwen Kelly. The man sent off. What did you think about the sending off? I don't know. I thought it was a bit harsh, maybe.
I actually thought that it was a penalty, and it was Pat Fenlon who was in the
Yeah.
Yeah. So Pat Fenlon didn't say anything at all until the replay came on.
Yeah.
And then he decided, oh no, it's not a penalty. But he hadn't said that previously that. So he
Yeah.
didn't know. So the referee obviously doesn't get a second look at it.
No.
I actually still thought it was a penalty because I think he didn't go for the ball. And he did go to push him over, and he did push him over, and he leant on him, and that obstructed him from getting in on the ball and from having a chance on goal. It was a goal scoring opportunity. I actually did think it was a sending off. Be interested to see what anyone else thinks, but what about the misses in the first half?
What can you say? I thought the Bohs in particular was an absolute sitter. You know, I got very surprised to see Bort missing the chance the way he did. That was the one for me. That was the real standout, I have to say, for me. And I think again that goes back to Bohs. We'll be really disappointed in the grand scheme of things with the two big misses, the massive misses. Same with Georgie Kelly, wasn't it, in the second half? I thought that was an absolute major one. And even with Aaron Green in the first half, was an excellent ball in with Chris McCann, who again, I thought he done pretty well tonight. McCann, I thought he went about his business quietly. He'll never be a player that's going to make the headlines, but yeah, I thought he went about it. There was a lot of strings that were pulled for Shamrock Rovers. Everything seen the country with McCann. It was a great ball into Aaron Green, who you'd expect, open his body up and slot it into the corner, but he completely dragged it wide. Yeah, to two of them. And very surprised, like there are three players I'm at to mention is Liam Bort, Aaron Green, and Georgie Kelly. You'd never expect them three players to be missing the chances that they did.
No, sitters, absolute sitters. I thought Danny Mandrew, it would have been interesting to see a crowd at the game. Yeah. We'll comment on what Sean has said there now in a second. But just Danny Mandrew, I thought he played very well today, and I think he settled in very well at Shamrock Rovers. He's playing with confidence. He's, when he's on the ball, he's not afraid to get on the ball. He's not afraid to do things. He's not afraid to show what ability he has on the ball. And him and Burke are actually starting to link up very, very well.
Yeah, he does. He looks back to his confident self, which we've seen when he first arrived on the scene at Bohs. And it's good to see. We said it loads of times here. Forget about your personal opinions on him. I think he's a smashing player. On his day, he could genuinely be one of the best players in this league. So to see him being back comfortable and enjoying football is great. Yeah, I think him and Burke were the two standouts for me today for Shamrock Rovers. It really is. Like, and everyone's going to, when Mandrew came in, you're always going to be thrown, well, can he replace Jack Bone and can he replace Aaron McAneff? And he seems to be that creative link, that especially what Aaron McAneff was, and he seems to be a natural replacement in that number 10 position. And in fairness to the guy, yeah, he's really impressed me. He got a late goal during the week against Drogheda as well. So the goals are starting to come back into his game too, which is absolutely vital because, again, I think Shamrock Rovers are a team this season that are going to be relying on people chipping in rather than having one out-and-out goal scorer. And, again, said it a couple of times, I like Aaron Green. I don't think he's the man for the job in terms of scoring goals on a consistent basis. He'll get up to double figures, there's no denying that, but just if year after year, he's not that sort of player. And I think, same with Rory Gaffney, good player, but he's not the man to be looking at.
Well, if they have the players that play off him, if they have the players that play off Green, the likes of Mandrew and Burke and whoever else is around them, is that not something that they can link up? It's a bit like we talked about it before. France won 2 World Cups with their centre forward not scoring a goal, Guy Varsh and Giroud. Doesn't necessarily have to score goals as long as he's the link-up play is good, and he works tirelessly.
No, he does, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. If you're going to have lads chipping in, it takes that pressure off him, doesn't it? But it really does. And even for that argument as well, you could look at the opposition today with Bohs. On paper, you're going to be looking at Georgie Kelly as the man to be avoiding a lot of the goals. But the thing I've seen him do best this season is bringing in the likes of Ross Tierney, the likes of Keith Ward into the game. Like today, like you look at it, I think Ross Tierney won more headers in the box in the game than Georgie Kelly did. Which by looking at Kelly, by looking at his height and his physicality, that's what they expect him to be doing. But if he's going to be probably not sitting on the shoulder of the last defender, if he's going to be coming a little bit deeper and linking up play, once he's bringing these players into the game and once these strikers are remaining active and once they're chipping in with a couple of goals here and there, it does take the pressure off once people are chipping in. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Okay, we'll come back to Georgie Kelly because I'm not talking to him. But Sean has put, I suppose, the question forward: have Pats the squad to maintain the challenge? Rovers winning tonight shows how strong they are. In all fairness, and as commentary said, 29 games unbeaten now, Shamrock Rovers.
Yeah.
A really solid, not just a solid first 11, but a solid squad. I mean, Ronan Finn coming off the bench, that says it all. You know, I mean, they've got good quality players throughout their squad. They can afford to rest players, probably unlike the rest of the league who, you know, may struggle as time goes on. You know, Shamrock Rovers get a couple of injuries, they can cope. Maybe the others won't cope just as well. But have Pats got the squad to maintain that challenge?
I think they'll need a little bit of luck as the season goes on in terms of injuries. I did say to you, and I said on here a couple of times, that was another thing. I think the Pats squad is a little bit thin. I think if you're going to have players dipping in now of form, suspensions, injuries, it might get a little bit tight. Even look, the lads Pats had on the bench today, young lads like Ben McCormick, Alfie Lewis, Dara Bones. Well, you know, in fairness, good players, and especially in Dara Bones' case, he scored 2 goals this season already, which you can't ask more from the lads. Yeah, I think as it goes on, and then especially later into the season as the FAI Cup comes into play, I think it will be a little bit of a concern of mine, but I think, yeah, a little bit of luck will have to be in play. And I think if hopefully all things going well and the lads stay relatively injury-free, they'll be there in thereabouts. Now, I'm still under the impression, I don't think Pats will challenge for the title this season. I still think European football is a realistic expectation. But yeah, I think you have to have a little bit of mix of luck and rotating the squad when needed. You know, even if players are playing well, know when to take them out and give them a game off if it needs be.
Yeah. Just go back to Georgie Kelly. When you look at him, he's a big lump of a man. All right, you can see that there's power behind him. I don't think he uses it well enough. I don't think he's effective enough. When I look at Aaron Green puts himself about. He makes life hard. He brings the ball into the corner, keeps off 2 people. He's physical. I don't think he uses that strength the way he should do. I think he should be bullying centre halves and not letting them have time. And I don't think he does enough closing down and harassing like Aaron Green does, where he'll put them under pressure. He's kind of just not even gliding around, just getting around, waiting for the ball to come to him rather than making things happen. Do you see that, or is that something that I'm only seeing?
No, like I touched on, I think Ross Tierney was saying.
And that's not saying that he's not. He did okay tonight, and there's a couple of games I've seen him. He's done okay. I just think there's a lot more in him.
Yeah, I find him a bit timid sometimes. I even seen a lot last season at Pats. I didn't think Pats really played to his strength last season, but then he seems to be this role at Bowles this season seems to suit him a bit more. But his involvement isn't really. I don't think he's really playing to his physical attributes. Like I said, he's dipping back very deep. He's trying to find the ball to feet and bring in the winners, which every good centre striker should do. But then you should be the man going into the box, trying to find the ball, trying to get on the end of the headers. And it's just something I haven't seen him doing at all this season. You had a couple of moments.
Last season.
Oh, last. Well, in fairness, he done it in one game, which, you know, you want more than that. In fairness, there's even like you go back to there's moments where you arguably should have been closing the ball down today, a bit more hustling, a bit more hurrying. I just think for a big lad, he's not really playing to his own strengths. Whether that be his fault or the fault of the system, I'm not too sure. I think you have to, in this situation, you have to look at the player. He has to be doing more. You know, he's a tall lad. He's a big guy. Yeah, and like I said, you look at smaller lads in the leagues, like at Aaron Greens, even like at Pat Hobans, they tend to be a bit more of a nightmare. Even someone like Chris Lyons, who isn't a big lad for Jota at all, he's an absolute nuisance of a player. This is the sort of thing that Kelly should be doing. And yeah, he just seems to be more comfortable dripping back into a number 10 position rather than being the out-and-out striker that he's obviously physically built to be.
What about Tierney? I thought he was excellent again. Anytime I've watched him, he's impressed me. His work rate is just phenomenal. He never stops. If I was anyone else in the league, if I was the Dundalks and the Shamrock Rovers, I'd be looking at grabbing him in because, you know, he's going to cause problems, and the Dundalks have the money that's the kind of player they need. They need Dundalk need to refresh their whole side altogether. I think, I think there's a few of them that are a little bit stale there, and they need someone like him just to up the tempo, get the tempo going. Now that doesn't mean I'm trying to take Tierney off Bowes, but what I'm saying is that they have a couple of good players in that side, and there was in the game, when you looked at the game as a whole, there wasn't much between Rovers and Bowes tonight.
No, there really wasn't at all. Both of them set out pretty similarly. Ross Tierney's absolute magic player, isn't he? In fairness, I think Keith Ward has impressed me a lot this season. No, he's still only 30 years of age, so we're not.
Wasn't happy coming off, was he?
No, he wasn't a happy bunny at all. In fairness to him, I think it was probably a mix of the penalty which was given away and a bit of frustration with that. I think Keith Ward has been excellent this season. But yeah, Ross Tierney's the one. I think he's only 19 or something, isn't he? He's only a young lad, and yeah, he has to be someone that the Dundalks are looking for, because at the moment, Michael Duffy hasn't come into play at all. Junior is just completely out of position altogether. It's not happening. Our friend from Cabra, Han, just hasn't got really going much at all, has he? Ross Tierney, that's really brilliant for me. When it's like you touched on it, you really did. That it's not only the on the ball stuff, as talented as he is. It's his pressure game. It's even his IQ off the ball. He always seems to find himself in space, doesn't he? Even today, when the game got a little bit tighter at the start of the second half, he was always sort of finding himself that little bit of space. Sean Gannon hadn't much of a hope with him at all today. I thought Sean Gannon was really poor today, and I think a lot of that credit has to go down to Tierney, because he was absolutely fantastic on the day. He really was.
When you look at Bowes now, would you be happy now to? You were kind of trying to slip away from your second place prediction for Bowes.
You won't let me slip away, man.
I'm looking at that game there today, and I'm thinking, do you know what? They're not far off. A team that could go on a good run and really push, up that division. Because who else is there? Sligo Rovers, yes, but who else? They definitely have a chance, Bowes, if they can put a bit of a run together. Obviously, Pats have had a good start. Rovers quite possibly are the team to beat, I suppose, or are the team to beat, really. Sligo Rovers, but Bowes on their day, when you look at them, I can't understand. Again, I didn't see the Longford game. I believe against Sligo Rovers, it was a very even game as well, but obviously ran out 3-1 defeat in that game. So there must be this. Keith Long must be just getting this team together, just sort of gelling them together. And I actually, looking at tonight's game, I can see them going on a bit of a run, because the players they have there are very, very comfortable on the ball, really, really good on the ball, but they're working extremely hard. So, I mean, if you have the work rate and then you have the skill levels, especially in the midfield, they were pinging balls around just like Shamrock Rovers, where one touch, breaking through the lines. Yeah, I definitely think that they could have the possibility, and it's a full season this year, so there's all sorts of possibilities there for them, I think.
And of another side, again, with decent strength and depth, you look at the bench tonight, like the likes of Dawson Devoy is one of the best young players in the league. Rory Feely, cracking right forward, very confident going forward. They brought a lad, Kieran Kelly on, who's a very, very, very solid centre-half. So even you add into what you said and put into that strength and depth, I think they can still be up there, and I think they will realistically still be up there, Like Sean touched on, the Pats have the squad to maintain the challenge. I'm not too sure. Bowes definitely do, though. I think Bowes really do. Look, everyone's going to miss, like we said, they got rid of Grant and Wright, the two main goal scorers last season. So when you get rid of players like that, it's always going to be difficult to fill that gap. But I think they've done it well enough. Like, you look at Liam Burt and you look at Ross Tierney, like they're two young lads that if all going well for Bohemians, they could be at the club for a couple of years to come now. I know it's difficult in the League of Ireland with all the shopping and changing, but if we're just talking hypothetically, they could be there for a couple of years to come now. And yeah, it all looks good. It's a good young squad. Keith Long for me is still one of the best managers within the league, if not the best, especially when it comes to getting the best out of young players. Again, going back to Andre Wright last season, he's that was a different player from what I seen. Like I watched Andre play in the 2019 season. I would have never picked him up out of a line. But then obviously Keith was working with him over the off season, and he was absolutely fantastic last year. So I think if you mix in the strength and depth, the good young players, and the manager like Keith Long, yeah, definitely there's definitely potential there. He will be obviously disappointed losing the game and losing to your Dublin rivals in the manner that he did, missing 2 glorious chances and giving away a penalty late enough into the day. But yeah, look, and I think that you have a couple of, there's no easy games in the league, right? But you have a couple of, on paper, I think they're playing the likes of Derry City, Drogheda and Longford in the next 3 weeks. So on paper, there's definitely potential for Bohs to get away from this and to pick up a couple of wins, because in fairness to them, before the Sligo Rovers and the Shamrock Rovers games, they were starting to sort of get into a groove a little bit, without overly impressing. So there's definitely the foundations for that Bohs team to do well. Again, for me, I thought Ali Coote was very good tonight. He's in a similar vein to Chris McCann. He'll go about his business quietly, but what he does on the ball is absolutely superb. So yeah, Bohs fans will be disappointed tonight. They should be disappointed tonight, but yeah, I think in the long term they'll be all right this season. They'll definitely still be up there by the end of the season.
Yeah. Look, when you look at Shamrock, of course, if you want to send on any sort of a comment, send it on there. If you look at Shamrock Rovers now, said 29 games unbeaten. They win the league last year unbeaten. They've made a very positive start again this season. Are they the team to beat? And really, is anyone going to beat them? Like, as in, not in the game, but in the league, for the league. I mean, it's hard to see, with the strength the Shamrock Rovers have, them not winning the league.
Well, they're definitely a team to beat. Yeah, they're coming in as the champions, and a lot of people tipped them to retain the title before the season. I still don't think it'll be as straightforward as some may feel. I think if you look, like, Pats were really unlucky on the opening day of the season not to beat them. Shamrock Rovers relied on a late goal against Sligo to get something out of that game. So there's definitely, you can see wobbles there, but in fairness, I think they're starting to come into their stride now a little bit, aren't they? I think if you look, they've 3 games this week, 3 wins, 2 late goals. They had a late goal last weekend against Longford and a late goal during the weeks against Drogheda. So, this is as well the little bit of luck that you need. And the strength and depth is hard to look. It really is. And it's something I'm going to hark on about a lot as we talk about Shamrock Rovers this season. But it's a factor you just simply can't overlook it, because the strength and depth that they have is head and shoulders above a lot of teams, every team within the league. They're definitely the best squad off the button.
If I was to tell you had to spend 100 quid of your money on who would win the league, who would you put at?
I think I'd go with Shamrock Rovers, yeah. I think I would. But I think the run is absolutely brilliant. But I think they will be beaten this season. And I think that's an obvious thing to say. They will definitely be beaten this season, and there's been signs that is doable this season. Where last year, I know it's only, you can take the Pat Hoban approach and say it's only 18 games and this and that, but last year they did genuinely, like, after the COVID break, they looked unbeatable, and nobody ever looked like beating them. Where I just don't really see that this year, and you're not going to. It's a full fixture list, so to even say they're going to go unbeaten, I think is a bit ridiculous.
I am going to edit that out, and I'm going to put that on repeat for the whole season. The closer it gets to the end of the season, and they're not beat.
And while we were talking, I was having a little look at the fixture list, and I was like, hopefully, someone decent now. Hopefully, next 2 games are Finn Harps and Waterford.
How are they?
yeah. Well, after that, they're playing the league leaders. Well, no, Pats aren't the league leaders anymore. 1 second, let me have a look. No. Oh, they are, yeah. Never mind. Yeah. So they're playing the league leaders in 3 weeks. So there we go. You never know. That's the one. That itself would be a great little scalp. We actually have the comment on the screen with Sean. I'd actually know Sean. Sean's a big Shamrock Rovers fan. So even for that, even to go and to have that little feather in your cap that Pats beat Rovers and finish this unbeaten streak, that'll do. That'll do nicely.
You gotta aim higher than that.
Yeah, look, I'm a simple man with simple pleasures.
Yes. So we'll have a look at the first division results.
Yeah.
Athlone again, as we said. That was, you had it down in the bigkickoff.com today. You did a preview of all the games, and you had that down as the banker. I mean, you could have put any money. Like, I'm surprised the bookies would take money for that, because that was always the case, wasn't it? 3-0 was, you probably would have took that actually in the bookies,
Yeah.
a 3-0 win.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad it worked out, because my last banker was Bray and Treaty United about 3 weeks ago, and that finished as a 0-0 draw. So yeah, I was hoping that would be it. I'd have my legs broken from people wasting their money on. Well, yeah, if you're listening to me, then you deserve to lose that money, in fairness. But yeah, look, at Athlone, they can only be delighted, can't they? Really, at the start of the season that they made. The fixture list again, when it's a 10-team league, it's really impossible to get a run of so-called easy fixtures, But they've already taken points off UCD, Galway, Cork, Bray. That's an excellent start for anybody, like especially a side like Athlone, who, while they did improve well, they're still somewhat of a dark horse, weren't they? They're still not many were really tipping them to be there and thereabouts. You might have got people saying they'd be there for the playoffs, myself included, but to see them up where they are now and to winning games comfortably, and scoring freely on a regular basis too, you can only commend them. You really can. It's it was always going to go one or two ways, I think, when you make so many improvements like they did. They were either going to gel really quickly the way they did, or it was either going to be a case of, well, you have to wait and see how this goes. You have to wait and see. They might click, a couple of months down the line, but yeah, they can only be delighted with the start that they made, and it's brilliant for them. They're playing Cabinteely again in the next game, so there's another one. There's another one maybe on paper you're expecting to get 3 points from. So yeah, they'd be delighted to keep that start going, and hopefully, because Athlone's another town in Ireland that it's a big town. They're mad about the football. They love the team. So you always like to see them doing better. And you always feel like they can give a little bit more than. Like this is an Athlone side that has been in the bottom two of the fourth division for the past number of years. So to see them doing that and to see them do as well as they did, and I do agree with Sean that the mix of youth and experience is absolutely vital in the squad at the moment. So yeah, delighted for them, and they really do very positive signs at the moment. It's going to be tight this season. While they might fade away a little bit, we're going to get on to Shelbourne. I think Shells are coming into the groove. I think the playoffs is definitely now, after seeing them play a couple of games, the playoffs is definitely a reasonable show, at least for Athlone Town this season.
Yeah, no, good win for them. Any win's a good win. Cabinteely beaten 3-1 by Shells. Again, if you were putting your accumulator together, you probably would have put that one down as well. 3-1. I didn't see who scored the goals. Nathan, did you get to see who scored those?
I did, yeah. And it's again, I touched on Yo-Yo Maddy got off the mark last week, which was badly needed. They were picking up goals here and there, but you need your strikers going. And again, Michael O'Connor got off the mark for Shells this week, scored a penalty. So yeah, important for a striker like Michael O'Connor, who he's been around the block now, despite only being a young man. So if he can settle into Shelbourne, he's another player that's going to be an absolute nuisance, even if he's not going to score on a regular basis. Other goals came from Kevin O'Connor and Shane Farrell, I believe, was the other one. So, yeah, look, they'd be delighted. As you said, you'd really fancy Shelbourne to win this one, but they seem to be coming into a groove now. There's more goals starting to come into that game, and yeah, they'll be absolutely delighted, especially when you see the likes of Galway again, who we're going to get on, who drop points again today. Yeah, Shell's be delighted, another win. And yeah, it's another bit of a blow to Cabinteely. It's been a miserable week for them, hasn't it? Especially if you add in this defeat now and the 3-0 walkover last week, yeah, and the 4-1 defeat to UCD. Yeah, it's been a tough time to be that one Cabinteely fan. So my heart does go out to you, man. It really does.
Treaty United 2-1 against Cork City. We did say that Treaty would, give a few not shock results, but they would turn teams over.
Yeah.
And they're showing that they're doing. Listen, Treaty United playoff place is not unforeseeable now, because you've seen how strong they are, and you've actually seen the other teams how, look at Galway United as well tonight, 2-2 against UCD. That's not a bad result, by the way, but it's definitely they're the ones dropping the points, and Treaty seem to be gathering points nearly every other week.
Yeah, and most importantly, 2 weeks in the bouts without a red card. They're getting used to it. They're getting used to it. No, look, brilliant result, really, really is. And I have to say, I was one of the few people that just thought, I said it to you a couple of times, look, it's great to have football back in Limerick, and that's all I was saying. They're surprising me. They really are. I thought they'd be down probably themselves, Cove Ramblers, Wexford be down in the lower echelons of the table. But no, they've done well. They really have. Another good win for them. I'm sort of starting to see now that it's going to be a difficult season for Cork. I think it is. I think they're probably a year or two off the pace from going back up to the Premier Division. Couple of young lads in the squad, new regime. It's the first full season for Colin in the managerial role, so it's going to be quite difficult. But yeah, look, Treaty United, in fairness to them, for what we've managed to do in a short amount of time in terms of putting a squad together, that it does have a couple of lads that have League of Ireland experience, but there was a lot of lads in there that have either played in the Munster Senior League or they haven't played since Limerick FC were around. So to see them come together and to get in so quickly and to get some good results, like this isn't a once off. A good win against Cork. They drew to Brain the opening day of the season. They've took points off Galway United as well. So yeah, they're still unbeaten as well. Which is you sort of tend to forget because you had 3 draws in there, but still unbeaten in the season. And like I said, maybe the playoffs aren't completely out of reach.
Now, what about Galway and UCD? We know that UCD are a solid side. You're always going to get a tough game against them. Galway are a decent side, but they just haven't hit the ground running yet.
No, they haven't. Another late enough goal in the 87th minute to get a draw out with this one. There was a late goal by them last time out too, I think, wasn't there? Am I mistaken in saying that? I think it was against. Actually, was against Treaty United. Actually, now that we say it. It was late goal there. So yeah, while probably in the grand scheme of things, it's not the worst result in the world. UCD have got off to an excellent start, scoring very, very freely. Colin Whelan again scored today, which is absolutely brilliant. I think it's safe to say that the fears of UCD struggling for goals with Yo-Yo Maddie out of the team, that's gone now. For me, that's gone. There was people chipping in, but Colin Whelan himself has stepped up this season to show that he's already going to be a consistent goal scorer for UCD. Well, it's only early days. I think he scored in pretty, if not all, the games that he played this season. So, yeah, I think they will be disappointed. That would have been a massive 3 points in Galway. But, yeah, Galway, decent enough for them to get a late goal and pull a draw out. But they have to start hitting the ground down now, Like I said, shells are starting to come into things a little bit. We're yet to see Bray had to play Cove Ramblers tomorrow. Yeah, you'd fancy Bray there, but Cove's a difficult place to go to, So, while the likes of Brave haven't really got off to a good start, Galway need to kick on now a little bit, because you don't want the likes of Shelbourne and Athlone even, we can't tell Athlone out just yet. You don't want these teams to start to drag away. Like, there's only so long we can say it's early days into the season, but these results catch up on you later in the day. So yeah, Galway will be absolutely desperate to start getting a decent one of wins together.
Yeah, draws will kill you. We'll do a quick ones, I suppose. The Euro 2020 won't be coming to Dublin.
Yeah,
a lot of people are disappointed about it. I'm not really disappointed about it. I think we said it on the I said it on the podcast. If Ireland are in it, and you're not making great financial gains because you can't have crowds, they're not going to be coming in. It probably doesn't really make a difference. And I think now UEFA have said that they're going to help out with Finn Harp's ground and different little things, financial package together for the Republic of Ireland. So, well, there's disappointment not having a bit of a festival here. I don't think there would have been a festival. So for me, it's not that disappointing.
Can I throw this one out to you actually? Now that you actually mentioned Ireland not being in it. Do you think the decision would have been different if Ireland qualified for the tournament? If Ireland would have played the game, or actually playing in Euro 2020, do you think the decision would have been Yeah. Yes. I know you can't change what's going on in the world, but I think they wouldn't have been so quick to.
There would have been a little nudge, I mean, whatever the government if they think there's money involved, they'll go with it, So absolutely, they would have given that little nudge and said, we have to make sure now, that the Republic of Ireland team get the best chance and blah blah blah. Yeah, absolutely. I don't think that they wouldn't have done that. You miss out on your experience now.
Yeah. For people that don't know, I was meant to be working at it, so meant to be doing media work at the Euro. So yeah, in a personal point of view, very disappointing. I think the writing was on the wall though for quite a while, wasn't it? And then last week, I think it was during the week or whenever it was, Leo Varadkar came out and said that pretty much it's not going to happen. That June is just not feasible. So yeah, obviously personally, very disappointing. But I'm in the same boat as you. It was while it's it is disappointing. You know, I think having the idea of having Euro 2020 in Dublin would have been brilliant during normal circumstances, but it was just never going to be. I think the idea of it in their heads to what it actually would have turned out to be would have been a million miles away. And look, you also mentioned as well, which I actually came across it just before we jumped on here, that UEFA are committing 500,000 to the investment in Dalymount Park, which every cloud, I suppose, isn't it? Like in fairness, it's a good sum of money for the UEFA to be committing to the renovation of Dalymount Park. So yeah, if there's one good positive takeaway as League of Ireland fan, I suppose that has to be it.
That's it. Anyhow, listen, you're covering the greatest league in the world, so nothing else really matters. So, Derry City have a new manager. I suppose it's a good appointment for Derry City. We look at it that way, but what about the Republic of Ireland? Does it make a difference, or does it not make a difference?
I think it's probably something like, in fairness to Stephen Kenny, Derry have said that he was very open and willing for them to approach Rory Higgins. I'm going to get that name wrong all the time. As soon as I see it, I go, oh no, we only got rid of Filippo Giovanoli, and now I have to do. I don't have to deal with this one. Is it Rory?
Here, I have something to pull you up on. What's the name of the caretaker manager there now at Dundalk?
Seppi Rossi or Jim? Oh, Jim. Yeah, I change it up every week, don't I?
What's his name?
Jim Magilton. Is it Magilton or Magilton? What is it? I get that every week, and I even noticed that.
Jim Magilton.
Is it Jim Magilton?
Yes, Jim Magilton. Jim Magilton. You call them all sorts.
I call them Magilton. I'll be calling him every time when I get back into the grounds. I say it all the time. Absolute Paul Merson at this channel. Anything that isn't O'Brien or Doyle or O'Connor, I'm out again completely.
When you look at Rory, you kind of go,
I said to me missus, I was sitting up here and I goes, come here, how do you say that? Goes, Rory. All right, grand. Just before I go on here, and I still made a mess of it. So there you go. Do
you think it's a good appointment?
I think by looking at the appointment, I think already Derry City, the objective has to be to stay up. I think you can forget about European football because it's going to be in a similar vein of Stevie O'Donnell at Pats. This is Higgins and Guittaro. Came in as Raf Guittaro came in as his assistant. This is the first job, the first managerial job, you know. So it's going to take a lot of time. While I think Derry City, you know, we looked at the overall standard of football. They're playing better football this season than they did last year. But they're relying heavily on a lot of younger lads. I think they're very soft in the midfield. I think they're desperately in a need for a good, decent holding midfielder, which just isn't at the club at the moment. A couple of the young lads, like Ronan Boyce for me, is a big standout player. Patrick Ferry, by all accounts, is a smashing striker. But yeah, I think they will struggle this season, and I think these lads are going to need time. They're definitely going to need it to, just to get their best starting 11, obviously, and get the young lads in, know who they can trust, know who they can play. And then even maybe during the summer, you know, they can bring in one or two players. They're not going to make massive business, but if they can recruit one or two into Derry City, they'll be happy enough. Looking at Guittaro as the assistant, good appointment, you know. He's bit of experience with Sligo Rovers in the underage system. I think he runs his own academy outside of League of Ireland. So that's somebody that's used to hand-on experience with dealing with the younger generation in football. So I think it's probably exciting, a little bit exciting if you're a Derry City fan. You know, it's not just another recycled League of Ireland manager. It's a bit of a fresh feeling to it, but the lads are definitely going to need time badly. And even if they do finish up just above the relegation playoff position, I wouldn't be getting too down that throat too quickly, because the last thing Derry City need is another merry-go-round. You know, in the past couple of years, you had loads of Kenny Shields and Declan Devine. So, you know, you need to settle down a little bit. And I think if you're giving them the right amount of time, this could definitely be an interesting one going forward.
Yeah. Kevin Sheedy got the sack, then he didn't get the sack. There's rumours that they were trying to wind up a local journalist down there who broke the story. So is it just a joke, or is there something going on, or is it a bit messy down there?
Yeah, it's strange, isn't it? It's either a joke or somebody got their wires seriously crossed. And I'm not going to name the website, but I've seen it on a website that I'd usually go to that I'd know was a reliable source, and even they had it up. Yeah. And it was just bit strange, you know. Not even away from the whole managerial thing, if there was talks that goalkeeper Brian Murphy left the club, that he walked out. He had to confirm it on Twitter. The club had to confirm it on Twitter that never happened. There was a bit of rumblings about a bust-up involving Oscar Brennan, I think. Again, turned out that never happened. It was just he didn't play because of a facial injury he picked up in training. Strange, isn't it? Really, really strange.
And it's not only that. You look at Mike Newell down there. It doesn't seem to want to stand on the sideline. I mean, that's the second time he's after getting sent off beside Kevin Sheedy, you know. So he's going to be looking at, they're talking about 6-game ban now. Like
the one at Pats was mental, wasn't it? It was giving out about the colour of the tape on one of the players' socks. Like it's.
Yeah, I wonder what language he was using at the time, you know. But I suppose, listen, if someone's wearing you down on the sideline, you might just get sick of him and say, "Listen, get out of here, will you?" So. I think he needs to learn how to keep his cool, because he's not doing anyone any favours. Certainly not doing his team any favours. Yeah, no, it's a little bit odd. The whole Waterford thing's a little bit odd. I don't know, but from what I heard, there was a little bit of trying to, I suppose, wind someone up who has not been doing them any favours down there, a journalist, and this was part of it. So I don't know how true that is, but that's what I've got about it. So
that's still a strange thing to do, though, isn't it?
Isn't it?
As a club, you know, you're not like we're like well, I'm a hack. I'm not a journalist, but like now we're like that's, you know, it'd be strange, wouldn't it? Like if I was putting out misinformation about St. Pat's and the club all of a sudden, you know, I'm gonna get one over on him, like bigger than that, you know. It's a bit of a
you wouldn't be allowed into the place first of all. Yeah. You know, they wouldn't have anything to do with you. So, you know, that's the road that should have went down anyhow. Okay, right, we're going to leave it there tonight. Thanks for everyone who joined us there tonight. A good night of football. Of course, we'll be back next week. Have a look at the bigkickoff.com for loads of articles, and the League of Ireland section there is getting stronger and stronger by the week. And of course, we will have a whole load of different interviews and a whole load of different YouTube stories and clips and all sorts of new things that we're going to have coming out. So, and if anyone's out there who is interested in writing and would like to write for the bigkickoff.com, especially about the League of Ireland, yes, we were more than welcome. Contact us on the bigkickoff96.4@gmail.com or one of our social media sites. Nathan, it's time to freeze again. So are we ready for this? Thanks very much, everyone, and we'll see you again.
Wave like what on Winning Street.